anxiety, mood disorders, and substance use disorders. She has a particular interest in working with individuals who have ambivalence and teaches practical, time-tested skills in relapse prevention. Linda is also a strategic life coach who works with individuals who are interested in changing their lifestyles. Linda maintains professional membership in the Association for Contextual and Behavioral Science. She has presented ACT for NCSAPPB, Swain Recovery Center, and other conferences throughout North Carolina. Help me go, Linda.
Let me applaud you all too. Thank you very much. Looking up here at our board, right, vertical living, self-compassion, and recovery. These are really, from my perspective, very, very important words. But what's more important is learning what is vertical living and what is self-compassion and recovery, and how do we go about doing it? How do we use it? I want to say that I just returned from a 5-day conference on compassion focused therapy with Dr. Paul Gilbert from the UK, Dr. Dennis Church from New York, Russell Knowles from Spokane, all professionals in compassion focused therapy. So I'm a little trying to process all that information and jump in here and do this too. So it'll be interesting for me how I go with it. So that up there, my company is called Beyond Addiction. It's here in Asheville. I do DWI agency things, and we do anger management. I also do individual sessions with people for mindful self-compassion and compassion-focused therapy. So, and ACT is probably, acceptance and commitment therapy is probably the earliest. I started that probably back in 2008. So these are, they're sort of layered, one on top of the other, as we evolve. So this is where we hope to live. I'm sure everybody hopes to live there, beyond addiction. It's something that we don't necessarily in our world believe in. It's just like we don't believe that war can ever end. That we'll always have war, people will always kill each other. I don't hold to those beliefs. I don't think that that's the way it is. It can be different. And the same thing with addiction, that we can live beyond addiction. That we don't have to live in addiction or continually work from the position of, and this is just my opinion, I'm an addict, I'm an alcoholic, I have addiction. I believe we can get beyond that. And for my own self, I'm living proof of being beyond that. My form of addiction took me all the way to Skid Row in San Diego, California. I spent a number of years on the streets, not living on the streets, but on the streets, living with people that drank and did drugs and of all kinds of professions, let's say. And for my own self, I'll just share with you for a moment what happened to me. Sitting on a bar stool with about 7 beers in front of me, I looked in the mirror back there behind the bar, and I saw an elderly woman. She looked like she was about 70, 75 years old. She was humped over, she was drunk, and no one would buy her a beer. Which, I was drunk, sitting on the bar stool. Didn't even realize what am I looking at. But at that moment, there was an urgency that rose up in me, and the voice said, and I had a felt sense, I have to get out of here. I gotta get out of here. I gotta get out of here. And so my head turned to the man I was married to, and I'm off camp. I gotta get out of here. I gotta get out of here. And he said, well, if I ain't drinking, I'm not leaving. The stool swiveled, my feet hit the floor. I headed towards the Red Drape. I was at a bar called The Cave, which is no longer there because they have taken that area of San Diego and turned it into the gas lamp area, so it's very touristy now. I pulled back the drape. I was blinded by the light. I couldn't find my car for, I don't know, an hour or something like that. I finally got home. I drove drunk numbers of times, unfortunately. And that night it was raining, and I was on a hill, and I was shaking my fist at what I said to God, do something, you got to do something. But it was already over, and I didn't know. I had no idea that the whole thing was done. Within 3 weeks, I had a new home, I had my kids in school, I had a car, I had a job, and I never went back to Skid Row again. I never had a thought about drinking. Didn't have any urges to drink. I didn't want it. It was just almost as if it was erased from my mind. And so I walked free. And from there, I became a counselor for Volunteers of America at the Detox. And I did that for a while. And then my life progressed all the way to where I'm here. So I look at it myself, you know, I just use my own self. I'm beyond addiction, I know that. I went through the smoking addiction, marijuana addiction, I did them all. But I don't have to do them anymore. I don't have to do alcohol, I don't have to do drugs, I don't have to do cigarettes, I don't have to do marijuana. You know, I consider myself a free person. And let me ask you, how many of you work in substance abuse? Okay, all right. How many of you are in touch with Bill Wilson's story in AA? Okay, so Bill Wilson sort of had the same similar type experience when he began to call out in his deepest despair. If you guys remember the story, right? And I'll just repeat it because it's a good story. And that's, to me, it's what AA is all about, is the awakening, which is what happened to him. In his deep despair, he called out and he said, if there is a God, prove it to me. And at that moment, he said, the room lit up with a white light. And he felt like he was on a mountaintop and the wind of spirit, not of air, was blowing. And he knew at that moment, he said, it burst upon me. It burst upon me. I'm a free man. I'm a free person. And out of that came, you know, what we call AA, which we all know what that is and where it's gone from there. So that type of awakening, that type of spiritual awakening is available and is available to all of us, right? And when you have that, things begin to change. I have a daughter that's in Phoenix, Arizona, that has been trying to get sober for at least 2 years, on and off, on and off, on and off. And about I'm going to say 2 to 3 months ago, I think she's got 153 days clean, she had an awakening. And all the urges, wants, thoughts about alcohol just left her. Does that mean she isn't taking care of herself? She is. She's in a program, she goes to AA, she has a service, she does all these things, right? But she feels like a free person. So she's been teaching me a lot about AA and the 12 principles and all of that. Oops, I went the wrong way. Okay. So we can do a present moment exercise, and or how about you guys taking a moment saying who you are, so that we all kind of feel like we know each other. I'm going to start here.
I'm Bernie Leeser, and I'm the director of Swing Recovery Center, and I'm the clinical supervisor at Legacy Freedom Treatment Center. I work a lot.
I'm Laura Myers. I'm an adult therapist at Swain Recovery Center, and I'm also a contract therapist at Legacy Freedom.
Okay.
Say your name again, please.
Lauren Myers.
I'm Kelsey Rollins. I work for Meridian Behavioral Health in SOFA. I'm a CSAC case manager, butterfly catcher.
Catherine Kelly. I work at the University of North Carolina as a counselor and
I'm Lisa Love. I'm a recreational therapist at Julian F. Keith Alcohol and Drug Abuse Treatment Center, right next to Swain.
My name is Amelia Morlando, and I am a substance abuse counselor at Minnie Jones Clinic in their new office-based opioid treatment program.
I'm King Goslin. I'm a professional musician. We'll be playing for you today at lunch, and I'm a Tai Chi practitioner and teacher.
Tammy Heward. I work for Blue Ridge Behavioral Health Care as their high-risk educator. So I work with treatment groups, but also treatment in those programs in the jails.
I'm Sabrina, and I'm with her.
Part of the musician part, right? Okay.
I'm Tiara Kirkland. I work for Safe Alliance in Charlotte. We work with individuals with domestic violence and sexual assault. And I'm a therapist.
And you all heard who I am, Rachel Keener, and I study trauma and work with trauma.
I'm Alice. I work in the Wilderness Therapy Program as a therapist in Sioux Carolina. So I work with adolescent females, primary substance, we do a lot of that.
My name is Judy Buchholz. I run the substance abuse residential and outpatient treatment programs at our local VA.
So, oh, yes.
And I am the man in the room, running the camera for Linda because we're friends. But I'm also a therapist. Michael Fagan is my name. I have a private practice, Second Spring Counseling, and I do some contract work at different agencies here and there, and always expanding. I do DWI work, and I do a lot of individual and family work and couples work and all kinds of stuff.
Excuse me, a question.
Yeah.
I think I've heard your name before. Do you also work with Enneagram in your practice?
I don't know.
Maybe I had it. Okay. Just
Yeah.
confused.
I'm familiar with it, but I'm not an expert in it. I do know some folks who are, though, that I could refer you to, if that's your interest. Anyway,
It's always nice to honor the male in the room.
Thank you.
Brave soul.
Thank you very much. Well, you'll get more of me later as Vern and I are going to be doing the drumming.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. So let me ask, is there any, are you here just because you're here? Or do you really have an interest in vertical living? Are you wondering what vertical living might be? What self-compassion and recovery might be? You know, so if I know that you have some interest in that, you know, you may say what it is that you might be looking for. Or maybe possibly I have to go a little further and go, yes.
I was just going to say, I have a policy of choosing the presentation that I don't understand the most, or have no idea what the title is saying, and that to me is like, that's the one that I need to be at. So that's why I chose that.
Okay, good.
I work with a lot of students with borderline personality, and self-compassion is a huge component that's lacking in that. So I find that to be kind of a starting place.
Okay, good.
I'm interested in it, learning, and I'm interested in healing, and in working with Tai Chi and body-based things. This has become greater and greater, and it's for me, and it's also for me as a teacher, that I might be able to be better for those that I work with.
Okay, good.
And more resources.
Anybody else?
I'm selfish. I'm not here for any of my clients. I am totally here because of that focus. I'm very other-centered, and so that reminder is really helpful for me.
Okay, good. Anyone else?
I'm here because anything you're teaching, I want to hear. You're a mentor of mine, and so I'm all ears.
No, good. Well, good. I'll just begin. Believe me, you know, I did say I just got back from New York. So at 10:57 last night, I was putting this PowerPoint together. So
It's my kind of work, lady.
always on the edge. So let's take a moment, if we can. We'll just take a moment to become really in the present moment. So put your things down, put your feet flat on the floor, and if you could roll your shoulders back, roll your shoulder blades back, just sitting up a little bit straighter. And if you would, allow your eyes to close. I'm going to close mine. Take in some nice breaths, just in through your nose, out through your mouth. You might notice that when you breathe in, the air is cool. When you breathe out, the air is warm. And we can do a little soothing breathing where you begin to breathe in to the count of 5, and then release on the count, going back out for 5, but very slow, so that you're slowing things down. You're slowing the mind down, and you're going to slow down the body. So breathing in for 5, and then slowly breathing out, extending the out breath. And then breathing in for 5. Slowing down slowing down the body, breathing out. You might even say that as you're breathing in, mind slowing down. And as you're breathing out, body slowing down. And as we continue that soothing rhythm breathing, I want you to see if you can notice a few other things. Maybe notice that your heart is beating. See if you can get a felt sense of your heart beating. Your body sitting in the chair. Noticing your feet on the floor. And then scanning your body all the way up to the top of your head. And just noticing yourself sitting there. And see if you can feel the cool air on your skin. Be in touch with that. See if you can notice that. And just slowing everything down. Maybe even considering what you might want to learn today. Being open and curious in this moment. And then allowing yourself to, when you're ready, open your eyes and be just as you are here in this moment. That's just a simple little breathing exercise. You can find them on your apps. There's on our cell phones, the apps that will actually, a circle will breathe, tell you to breathe in, and then will tell you to breathe out, and inhale and exhale, and it actually trains us in a soothing rhythm breathing, right? Kind of thing. So hopefully that brought you here in the present moment and out of here, which is where, for a long time, most of us have lived inside. And what we're trying to do is move outside, where the giraffes live, and the birds, the bluebirds, and even where the little ants live. They all live in the present moment. They all live here. They don't live in there, right? So that's what we're trying to do, is move out, move to a present moment experience. For me, the present moment is one of the most important things that I can focus on and move into and practice remaining in the present moment, because in the present moment, I'm safe. Whereas if I go inside my head, I'm not so safe. Although we would think that we would be safe in our own head. So in thinking about how we are, we can notice that it is difficult. Our head can create anxiety, it can create guilt, it can create suffering of all kinds. And even with all that, pain, fear, shame, life is pretty resilient. And we can grow through a lot of things and progress in our life and process things in ways that sometimes we can't even imagine. But we are very talented individuals. Human beings, we're called, right? So one of the things they teach in compassion-focused therapy is that we have tricky minds, that our brain has evolved over the years, and they look at it as causing us difficulty from time to time. So based on where you were raised and the way they raised you, maybe who your teachers were and what your teachers taught you, the various things we went through, maybe you had some bullies at school that bullied you, various things we went through, but it wasn't our fault that we were born to these parents, or born in the United States, or born in another country. Dr. Paul Gilbert likes to tell the story that if he was born in a drug cartel, the chances are he would not be a psychologist. Right, that wouldn't be what he would be doing. He'd either be dead or he was selling drugs, possibly murdering people. but the version of Paul Gilbert as the